a mix of just pure clutch and also maybe like a hint of luck. Got a 37 move count, fifth solve, soon CMLL rotationless. So seemed like a lot of things kind of clicked up there at the end, but he had to be ready to go in for the kill, and he was. And
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Plus 3, the only podcast that starts on time 100% of the time. I'm Matt Rosman, joined by John Epley and Manu Singhal. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
It's funny because when you said you had an intro planned, I didn't think you actually had a plan, but now I understand. You did have it planned. You knew.
I did have it planned. I've had it planned since 8 p.m.
Not 6 when we originally wanted to meet, or 6:30 when we second wanted to meet.
Hey, man, I was taking care of a cat, man. Come on, let me be.
Fair enough. Doing God's work.
I had a legitimate obligation that I could not miss. And I'm sorry that I had to push it later. I apologize to y'all. But yeah, I mean, like, we're actually back on schedule now. I think with the release of this episode, we're back to regularly scheduled programming. Which, that may be because of me, but I'm not going to blame myself because I can't possibly do anything wrong.
So he says.
Speaking... What?
Just continue with the episode.
Just continue with the episode. Speaking... Because I always have to be reminded of my god-awful Rue and ZB take from a few weeks ago, which I've been incessantly clowned on. Narcher did it again. The 3x3 one-handed average, the first sub-8 in competition. It's a 795. John, break this one down. How big is this?
I mean, this, to me, just shows how big of an idiot you are, right? Narcher really clutched up, too, which is the cool thing. I mean, he saw the pressure and felt nothing. 851, 866, 766, 768. So that means he had to get best possible average to, to get the sub-8. I'm sure he knew that ahead of the solve. And then, luckily, a mix of just pure clutch and also maybe like a hint of luck. Got a 37 move count, fifth solve, soon CMLL rotationless. So seemed like a lot of things kind of clicked up there at the end, but he had to be ready to go in for the kill, and he was. And so he probably listened to that episode and heard you and decided it was his time to shine.
Well, I really hope he isn't listening because he would be pretty embarrassed with both of you bozos because, using Rue, you kind of are always rotationless. Remember, Rue uses like wide moves instead in order to orient pieces, so you never need to like rotate. Once you pick your colors, then you have it set. So clearly, and I thought I was like the biggest moron on this show, so clearly not. But yeah, no, absolutely incredible stuff from Narcher. Just really, really pushing it, Rue to its boundaries, as well as just like OH solving to its boundaries. And it's crazy that not that long ago, we were in the era of like, who is going to get the first sub Felix? Remember, because Felix had that really, really famous / infamous single from so long ago. Druva was able to break that. We have a bunch of Ruers who were able to break that. 649 that he needed to get here in order to clutch the world record average broke that also. So it's just a very, very exciting time for Rue. And like I said, my world's prediction, the one I'm really, really holding on to, is I think Rue is sweeping the world's podium this year. I don't think any C-popper is going to get on, and it's just huge. So congrats to Rue, congrats to Narcher. Another fantastic, huge milestone broken.
Let me ask the both of you. We've seen Narcher really kind of take control of this event recently. As the year goes on, as we get into Worlds, who are you expecting to see try and take on Narcher, try and take the world record for themselves?
There's a lot of Rue guys like in the conversation, right? I mean, you have the previous world champion Sean Patrick Villanueva from the Philippines. He's an incredible solver. Another Ruer I know from Asia, Fami. He's also like quite good. Of course, you have the other Europeans as well, Magnus and whatnot. So there's a ton of good Ruers out there. But one thing, is don't forget the Chinese solvers. If you watch Zhen Chen do OH, he is just spectacular, and he like takes CFOP to the very next level. Ruhong as well. So there's a lot of good CFOppers out there too, and of course, I'd be remiss if I did not mention the one and only Max Park. Just needs to get kind of lucky a little bit. So all of this, there's a lot of like characters floating around this OH space. So I think it's very exciting.
I'm very glad you added Max because growing up where I grew up, we tunnel vision. Like we only know of things that exist in the Midwest or in the U.S. in general. So Max Park, Patrick Ponce, Luke Garrett, these are the true contenders. Narcher, Sean Patrick, all these people may be faster, but they're not from the U.S., so they won't have, the flying eagle behind them. And I think come Worlds, that's going to be a major disadvantage.
You might not be wrong about that. Who knows? We'll have to see.
I think it's actually interesting that you bring up Max because Max is still very much in the conversation as one of the most dominant one-handed OH. So I don't abbreviate it. I'm sorry. He's still one of the most dominant OH solvers in the world. I mean, let's not forget he PR'd this
a month ago. Yeah,
he had an 846. Yeah. It's like we can't rule him out yet, and maybe this is the area where if Max Park really wants to regain some ground, regain some cred in the rankings, he can build up his OH because he's not that far off. Manu, like you said, I think he just needs to get lucky and he's got to refine it a little bit more. But and we know, like, I've seen not firsthand, but when I did the Vegas broadcast a few months ago, like, Max is very good at this stuff. Now, granted, the table abuse is still he definitely is a world champion table abuser. But regardless, I think that he can really gain some ground here. Now, granted, it's not an easy competition, and going into Worlds, do I think that he'll podium? Maybe because he's Max Park and he's got that clutch gene. I think he can. I don't know if he's going to come out on top, and I don't think that he's going to overtake Narcher anytime soon, unless Max just decides, you know what, I'm going to be the best one-handed solver in the world. And he really could. He really could just decide to be like, okay, let me lock in on this since I can really take this. I mean,
but he would have to learn Rue. I mean, I think that's what we found out is if you really want to be the best in the world, you just can't use CFOP. I think that Max's best, luckiest solve. I mean, you saw Narcher with the 37 move here. I mean, I think we've kind of learned that if you want to be the best in the world at big cubes, eventually you're gonna have to learn Yao. Same thing here with Rue, and I think Rue has maybe taken over quite a bit faster, and Max Park has a shorter runway to stay dominant than he does in these big cubes because it's just clear that Rue is kind of taking over as we get more numbers of people that are putting effort and developing it.
Yeah, you could call it like a tech difference if you want, and that's certainly true. And the big appeal for Rue is you don't need to rotate, and you just have fewer moves, right? So you can turn slower, which I don't know if you've ever tried to solve a cube with one hand, but usually you solve slower one hand than with two hands. So it's certainly a pretty big difference, and I don't see him switching to Rue anytime soon. It's just, he was the world champion, had the world records with CFOP. No point in changing that. You're absolutely right about the table abuse. So maybe that's one thing that's in common for any future up-and-coming OH solvers is maybe table abuse is just the name of the game. That's just what you have to do in order to win the world championship.
And he is still the only solver on that list that has a prime jacket. So clearly he's winning.
And a prime chain. Let us not forget the chain, too.
Yeah.
Ice.
Yeah.
Ice.
Good point. Now that's a power-up.
Yeah, it's like, all right, plus 3 debates. Which item has more power? The Max Park prime chain or the Yihang Smiley?
Oh, definitely the Yihang Bones. It's not even close. Not even close.
Not even close. If Max puts that chain on in competition,
that prime chain is like Exodia.
We might be reaching levels of aura.
I guess it is like Exodia. It's like this actually flows. This flows.
I just realized what you said.
This flows well actually because it's like it's like intimidating perhaps. Like it's like it just gives you an extra aura, a little pep in your step. Yeah, I could see it. Maybe if it works for him, it works.
Highest aura cubing items.
Dude, now Xuan Yi with that, now it's like actually over. It's like It's like or a black
Oh my
hole.
God.
We all just like
Dude,
collapse and
dude.
die at Worlds.
Dude, when we go, dude, when we go to Worlds, no, that's what we need to do. We need to get like a chain for Shwenny. Oh my,
Dude.
get him like get some like Swarovski crystals, man. This kid is about to be the big dripper.
Dude,
Dude,
That's
I
what-
could see it.
like-
I could see it.
We're in the attitude era, and I love it because it transitions so well into what we're talking about. Is, you know, this Greiser poll on is cube trash talk something that needs to be implemented at the highest level? If they're all iced out all the time, you better believe that trash talk is going to be implemented. Because how can you not? You know,
Your chain only costs 5 racks. Mine
Oh
costs 7.
my goodness.
You know?
while they're emoting.
But why?
Oh my goodness.
No, but in all seriousness, today, actually just a few hours before we recorded this, as John said, Luke Greiser put out a poll on CF, basically saying, do we need to implement cubing trash talk at the highest level? Now, the word choice of implement is a little questionable, but I don't think that's what he's trying to go for. It's a requirement that then it would really be the attitude era. Like, you're required, every person you face, you just have to insult them. But I think this brings kind of an interesting discussion with, what we've been talking about, and maybe with, new non-WCA leagues popping up. I think, I'm just gonna ramble and offer my thoughts on it. I don't mean to go too out of order here, but for me, this feels like a non-issue. And what I mean by that is, I think that in some ways, top-level cubers, I mean, first, these are my opinions, and at the end of the day, I want people to do what they're going to want to do, I'm not going to force anyone to do anything or to be a certain way. You don't do that with athletes. But some athletes are showy, and some aren't. And I think that we need to kind of aspire to maybe a bit more flashiness and a bit more showiness with some of these top-level solvers. I think, it's kind of becoming a more and more valuable thing as a cuber, kind of going beyond just the sport, but kind of developing into a personality. I think we need more people like that who, even if they're not like the best of the best, do, crazy stuff, or they wear crazy things, or they have some kind of thing that makes them distinct, and makes people, want to watch them and watch their solves more and watch their content more, being invested in the person. Do I think that trash talking is the way to go about it? I mean, no. That's, trash talk is always fun, to listen to. But I said this before recording. I think what Luke is proposing something similar to being like, we should have more crashes in NASCAR. We should have like more pileups go on at the Daytona Speedway. Like, everyone's like, you can't say that you're not interested when you see like a big pileup of cars at a NASCAR race, but you don't want that to happen. I think it's the same thing with trash talk, because I feel like, that's only going to come from a place of, it's only going to devolve into something that kind of takes away from the balance of both entertainment and sport, because then it's just going to turn into like a reality show. Again, I will sit here and say I like trash talk. I like getting into it. I like when people get into it, but you don't want it to start dominating the conversation. You don't want that. You don't want the trash talky side to really be, the whole personality of someone, because then you just end up, you end up becoming like Terrell Owens or something for all my football fans out there, and just being an eminently hateable person because you just trash talk everyone.
Well, as a good example, like of Luke Greiser last year, I think he is the perfect example of someone who did it the right way. He went out there and he dominated in finals, and he got what he wanted, and he put out a little trash talk, but it was all in love, right? He went out and said, Clicky Studios, I was thinking of you. You said I was going to get 7th or 8th, and I had that in my head. I was thinking of you. A little bit of trash talk, but it's all love. I guarantee you that when the Clicky guys saw that, they're like, he brought us up. That's awesome. Like, we can't wait to mention that next time we see Luke. Because let's be real. No one here is actually mad at each other. You know, you might be trash talking their persona but this isn't a physical contact sport, right? At the end of the day, they're all going to be boys and probably go out to dinner and enjoy afterwards. But if we can start to ham it up a little bit, I think everyone's going to have more fun, and yeah, we're going to see more personality. You don't have to get in it if you want to, but I think the more that we give these guys opportunities to share that personality, the better it's going to spread the sport, the more storylines it's going to create. And that's what we're here for. We just want to feel connected to the sport, and this is just another opportunity to capture some raw moments.
Yeah, I think I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I think I also think that like you can't say that like we're gonna like manufacture beef or anything, because that just doesn't make any sense. Like, it has to be natural, and if it just comes out, it comes out, right? My thought is more so like, let's let the players play, right? If they want to kind of like get at it a little bit, get a little bit chippy because it ups the ante for them, it makes it more interesting for them, then by all means, like, let's go for it. But I also think that it's definitely important to make sure that everyone realizes that like this is not just like an arena of disrespect now. That's what like a lot of people were saying about like when I think Dilly recently uploaded like a short clip or like a highlight from Dilly Dally, and a lot of people in the comments are like, oh, you guys are just encouraging people to be rude. It's like, no, that's like not really the point. The point is to boost competitiveness, right? And one of the things I think that really sticks out for like a viewer, right? If you're just some random person who's like watching speedcubing, the first thing you think of is, I did this when I was younger. I peeled the stickers off. This is a toy. Why do they care, right? But if you see these guys with like real emotion, like, you know, they're like popping off. They're like, you know, getting really, really jazzed about it, right? And you're like, yo, these guys are like really into it. I think it lends itself a little bit of legitimacy. Yeah, it's like, you know, like they're like in it. Like they've like poured like thousands and thousands of hours into this to become one of the best in the world. Let them have a little bit of emotion. That's what I think, at least. And of course, I think cubing is already coming from a place that has so much mutual respect for each other, because we have like a lot of like, you know, wholesomeness in the community as is, right? We share a lot of resources. We don't necessarily gatekeep a lot of stuff. And I think if you're a younger viewer and you're trying to look up to a lot of these guys, we all look up to Felix because he was a standout guy, right? Like, obviously he was one of the best in the world, but he was also like carried himself that way, right? I think if you're a younger competitor, I think it's the same as like any other sport. There are guys and you look at them and you're like, that guy, like OBJ, he's incredible, right? And then, you know, maybe the stuff he says doesn't really make that much sense, but at the end of the day, it's like, I want to be like this guy, not by like dishing the trash out to other people, but by having that level of ability. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, and you guys are right. You know, a lot of it is built on respect, and a lot of it's, you know, built on this mutual understanding, you know, of, hey, you know, we're just in it for, you know, fun, you know, well, for fun, competition, you know, whatever. You know, obviously, you know, not just for fun, but I think we're probably looking at it in different ways, but we're all kind of looking at this same aspiration of wanting to see cubing have this additional element of entertainment. I mean, I like when people get into it and they ham it up. You know, I was raised on WWE. I mean, no, I'm serious.
Weren't we all?
Yeah, no, I was raised on WWE. My parents were huge wrestling fans, and I like it when people get in, you know, to these kind of characters and these kind of identities and really play it up, because it does make it more fun. It makes, you know, it's what turns a normal person or like an athlete, no matter what their skill is, into a superstar. To me, you can be an incredible player, but you got to have a star quality. Like, okay, basketball. Jokic is one of the greatest basketball players ever. But the guy, he doesn't have that ultimate quality that makes him like a LeBron James or a Steph Curry. He just doesn't have the star quality. Now, granted, that's probably because he doesn't care, and he'd rather be riding horses in Serbia.
Same.
But I think we can, I want to see people get into it more. And do I mean like in a trash talking way? You know, if that's the way it has to go, then I can get with that. But I think we're all kind of aspiring to, let's see these guys get into it. Let's see this. Because really, what it is, it's not just getting into whatever identity you want. It's really more about showing how much you love this and how much you want this. Because love often drives us to the most intense emotions, one way or another. And I think seeing that play out, especially in a competition, that'd be great. I think with some of the formats for stuff like, Cuban Clash and PSL, I think we can at least hope for something more like that. Those like really highlighting the one-on-one aspect of competition.
So a little off script, but I want to ask you guys a question real quick. What personalities do you want to see develop? Like, if you could just give an example of like, okay, here's a person and here's a potential fun persona that they could ham up that you could see at Worlds.
Dude, it's Luke Grice.
Well, that's an easy pick. We already talked about it. Like, let's come up with something creative.
Okay.
Off rip. What do you got?
I mean, you got like the calculator, right? The guy who is just like super, super deep into analysis and who can just like completely dissect the entire situation and turn it into language that even the top speed cubers have no idea what's going on. Like that is also like an interesting persona to be like, yeah, like clearly I should have done XYZ instead of doing like ABC. And everyone's just like sitting there flabbergasted, like he like knows his stuff.
Who is that cuber, you think? I mean, there's a lot of them, but
Timon is like that right now. It's like his solutions are some of the most creative solutions in the world. And I could definitely see him develop into something like that. Obviously, if he wants to, right? He also definitely has a little bit of that like competitive edge and stuff. I go back to Euros 2024 where he's like kind of like stoking the crowd a little bit. Like that's the kind of like trash talk I'm talking about. Like just give them a little bit to play with. It doesn't have to be like they like are in each other's faces. They're like slinging insults. We're not talking about that.
Right.
It's just little stuff. It's just like not enough push-ups, that kind of stuff.
I think.
I think.
I want to hear it. No, I want to hear it.
No, I feel like, and this is completely stereotyping Dylan, but I'm like, dude, we need like an edgelord. Like we need like an honest to God villain. And I mean like Greiser has some of that energy, but I think Greiser's probably like he's rooted in,
I think we got Michael Nielsen.
I think we need...
Isn't Michael Nielsen our edgelord?
Maybe. I just want someone like to go up and to just be like the recognized like the Undertaker is walking up right now and he's about to wreck something. Like I want that in cubing. And I think look, I mean, with excuse the motorcycle or car that was in the background there. I think with the way that, I'm just saying the Dylan CF, the relations there, I would love to see the Dylan villain arc pan out. I don't think it will, but just like imagine that though, like an Undertaker level presence going up. I feel like that's crazy.
Maybe. I think one thing that's really interesting is because we have like different formats and people are like just like talking about it just a little bit more, right? Doesn't necessarily mean we need to have full-fledged personalities just yet. Let's give people time and find their niche. And whatever they think is like, this is the type of person I want to be. This is the type of either character I want to play, or like this is like the persona I want to put out into the world. Whatever that is, let's just let them find it. That's all I'm saying. And as long as it's like not too chippy, like we're not, like I said, we're not slinging insults. We're not like trying to like wish people bad luck. None of that stuff is going on. As long as it's like relatively reasonable, let them play.
Love it.
Yeah. Sorry, John, were you gonna say something?
No, I just said I love it, man. That's all I got. I can only yap on that for so long, dude. I just want to see it happen. I want to see the product.
Again, we'll bring it back. Just ice out Cubers. Hey, Swarovski, Rolex, Jared, K Jewelers. If you're watching, we will take your
Hey, don't
money.
forget, I used to be top 100 FMC, so you can bling me out too. You know, I got you.
Hey, dude, blink me out. I don't even have a WC ID. Listen, I'm gonna be number 1 in Scube soon enough. Just you wait.
Alright.
Just you wait. But hey, speaking of FMC, we're in Manu's wheelhouse for this highlight of the week. Pretty significant for FMCers. We have the first sub God's number average, a 19.67 from Radamil Baran. I'm sorry if I butchered that name.
Good.
Manu,
Take us through this. How big is it that we now have an average below God's number?
Yeah, so this is just it's something really, really, really special. For those of you who don't know, God's number is the number of moves that it takes to solve a cube, no matter what configuration it's in. Even if you took the whole thing apart, put it back together in like a legal way, no corner twists and edge flips and stuff like that, it would take you no more than 20 moves. And now we have an FMC mean that's sub that, which is just something truly, truly special. One of the jokes that's been going around ever since the Kalindu incident from last year, because in his video he said how I bested God's number, and after that it became kind of a joke, like, oh, WR watch, is this guy gonna best God's number or not? Well, it finally happened. It's real. God's number was indeed bested. Does that make Radic a god? Maybe, man. One thing that's insane is like the number of FMC rounds that he's done, because that's also what you need, right? Like, yes, every scramble is solvable in under 20 moves, but not everything is human findable. There's a huge distinction between those, because the top FMCers reuse DR in order to find the solutions. But not everything is can be particularly broken into like a particular DR scramble. You've seen that if you've done CS timer scrambles and stuff like that. So 27 rounds of FMC in 2024, that has to be one of the highest in the world. That's you're doing an FMC mean every 2 weeks. And that's the type of dedication it takes. That's the type of round number it takes in order to pull off a result like this. Just absolutely amazing. It's huge. It's a massive barrier broken for FMC.
John, do you got anything on this?
No, I mean, I just don't care about the event. I wish I did. It seems like a really cool thing, but I just currently don't. And I think that it'd be cool to see people, and I think I've seen you put this effort in, Manu, so I praise you for this, to put in the effort to make FMC cool. I want to see FMC be cool for the broader public, so people that don't care can care. And I think we'll get there.
I mean, dude, you're in your boomer era, so it's like the only thing you kind of have left in cubing. Like, sorry to say, but if you're gonna get a world record at anything, it would be FMC, because you might be able to tie the 16, right? 2% of scrambles are 16, so you could get a 16. It's certainly very possible.
Only world record we can maybe get is in production quality. But as far as
but that's not WCA.
Who's gonna set a world record out there? Believe it or not, I'm actually not sponsored. This is not it. It's gonna be for my boy who will set a world record.
Oh, there he is.
Oh.
There he is.
Yeah.
One of the first guys to get sub 5 single,
actually.
actually.
World record.
Dude, best in Michigan. I wish we had him back.
Oh man, we need to get. I still haven't met Blake yet. I know.
He's been dodging.
Wasn't it? It's like we were going to, and then he just.
Oh, he was
just he just wandered around.
He hung out.
Yeah, on a super freezing cold day, but hey,
he was partying, dude. It was before the game, right? I mean, he was probably going around playing cornhole and doing cookouts, and I don't know.
Tailgates, not cookouts. And just when you host the cookout in the parking lot. Yeah, I'm again, just it's hard for me to, I'm in the same boat as John of just it's definitely kind of an event that I'm not the most into, but again, props to Manu for being, the biggest publicist for FMC.
I love FMC. You should love FMC. It's a great event. It's so much fun.
Soon, hey, we gotta get Matt's dad on the podcast, so y'all can talk about FMC for an hour.
I'll do speed FMC. Let's
Speed
make
FMC
that.
is a speed act. So what?
What's
Okay,
speed
so
FMC?
so let's speed FMC is really interesting. At least if I think it's the thing you're referring to, it's like FMC but with a chess clock. So you get to like make a move and then like hit the chess clock.
That's what I was thinking,
and like go back and forth. So that one is really interesting. Linear FMC is also really interesting. It was an unofficial event that was held at Euros and I think a couple other times by Lucas Guerin. That's really fun also because it just straight up like counts the number of moves that you take, but you only have like 2 or 3 minutes to actually like find the solution. That is also really, really cool. So yeah, some interesting FMC variants that we could potentially see in the future also for the people who are less like test inclined.
Yeah. Well, again, congratulations to Radomil on the sub 20 FMC world record average. Gentlemen, you got anything else? PSL coming up.
Yeah. I think March is going to be a fun month in speed cubing. So hope you all stick in for the ride.
It's gonna be a big month, yeah. Make sure when PSL drops that you're tuned in to Speed Cubing TV. March 16th, live from Berkeley, California. That'll be the first one, and then March 22nd will be live from San Diego. Should be a lot of fun.
Start.gg for the
I think
tickets.
we're gonna call.
Start.gg if you want to find the lyrics.
Yeah, start.gg. Premier Speedcubing League. Is it .org?
I forgot. I think it's .org.
It is, yeah. PremierSpeedCubingLeague.org if you want to register, buy tickets. Start.gg. I think they're still looking for a couple organizers as well. But yeah, I think I'm going to call it here. On behalf of everyone at Speedcubing TV and all our associated organizations, thanks for watching +3. Subscribe to the channel, like, comment. Tell us what you think about the trash talking thing. Should we have more trash talking? Should we have more personalities in cubing? Should we bring it into cubing's attitude era, as John put it earlier? But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.